His attention stayed fixed on the Attorney General. "You think your title intimidates me?" Lawson scoffed. "You sit behind a desk. I handle land deals, zoning approvals, dinner meetings with judges. Out here, my influence outweighs yours." Karen's mouth fell open. She hadn't expected him to openly challenge the Attorney General. And the way Lawson stood, calm, arrogant, showed he wasn't bluffing. He believed every word. The Attorney General's jaw tightened slightly, but before he could speak, Lawson snapped his fingers. Two figures stepped onto the porch. Not in suits. Not in uniforms. Just broad-shouldered, heavy-built men in plain clothes, arms folded, postures rigid, radiating threat. One leaned against the frame. The other cracked his knuckles, slow and deliberate. "You brought them," Karen whispered, fear shaking her voice. Lawson didn't acknowledge her. "You wanted this resolved, didn't you? This is how we resolve things." My stomach knotted, but I didn't back away. Instead, I looked at the Attorney General. He was still motionless, calm to an unnerving degree. Lawson stepped closer, smile spreading like poison. "Here's what's going to happen. You both leave this cabin tonight. Pretend none of this occurred. Otherwise, accidents happen in places like this. Remote. Quiet. Unnoticed." The only sound was the fireplace crackling. Then the Attorney General spoke, his voice soft but sharp enough to cut steel. "Funny thing about accidents, they tend to get caught on live surveillance." Lawson's confidence faltered as a faint red dot blinked from the corner of the cabin. He hadn't spotted the cameras. Everything had been captured. His eyes darted to the blinking light, and his polished mask shattered. He stepped back, voice cracking with anger. You've been recording this?" I crossed my arms, steady. "Not just recording, streaming directly to the county server." Karen gasped, covering her mouth. The two enforcers shifted uneasily, their bravado slipping. They hadn't planned on being filmed threatening a state official. The Attorney General leaned back, expression unchanged. "Every word, Mr. Lawson. Every threat. Every admission. Stored. Synced. Backed up." He tapped his phone lightly. "My office already has a copy." Lawson's jaw tightened, but panic flickered in his eyes. "You think that matters?" he spat. "You think anyone will touch me? I practically own this county." The Attorney General's lips curved into a thin, knowing smile. "Sounds like you conveniently forgot about the other half." For the first time, Lawson's muscle shifted uncertainly. One of them murmured, "Boss, maybe we should," but Lawson silenced him with a sharp stare. He was clinging to control, but the fractures were showing. I stepped forward, voice low. "That's your mistake. You thought this was just about me. But you walked in here threatening a state official, on video. This isn't HOA jurisdiction anymore. This is federal." Karen's legs buckled, and she slid against the wall. "No. I didn't sign up for this," she whispered. Lawson whipped toward her, rage flashing in his eyes. "Karen, shut your mouth." But the Attorney General rose to his feet, his voice carrying the weight of a verdict. "No, Lawson. You will be silent. Because the second you stepped through that door, this stopped being your personal playground. This became a felony investigation." The silence that followed was suffocating. Even the fire crackled softer. Lawson's downfall had begun. His polished demeanor finally shattered. Sweat dotted his forehead as the Attorney General's words sank in. He straightened up, trying to appear unshaken, but his trembling voice betrayed him. You don't intimidate me. I'll crush this in court. Judges owe me favors. Money fixes everything." The Attorney General reached into his jacket. Lawson's thugs tensed, until he revealed nothing but a badge wallet. He opened it slowly, letting the gold emblem gleam. "This isn't county authority," he said icily. "This is state. Which means federal backup is one call away. And you think you can buy that?" Lawson's men exchanged nervous looks. One finally muttered, "Boss, he's serious. Maybe we should leave." But Lawson's voice cracked as he snapped, "No one goes anywhere. He hasn't got proof." I stepped forward, holding up my phone. The live broadcast was still rolling. Funny you claim that. Over 1,000 people are watching this right now. Karen gasped, sliding further down the wall. No, this can't be happening. The Attorney General's voice dropped to an icy monotone. Here's what's going to happen, Lawson. You're going to walk outside with me calmly. Your men remain here. And if you resist, well, the sheriff's deputies are already on their way. They've been tuned in to the stream. The thugs shifted uneasily. One even edged toward the exit, clearly unwilling to be arrested for Lawson's ego. Lawson's fury twisted his face, but the fire in his eyes was dying. He knew the trap had closed. Still, he spat out, "You'll regret this. You don't know who I am." The Attorney General leaned close, voice a low growl. "Oh, I know exactly who you are. And after tonight, so does the entire state." Then, faint at first, sirens echoed across the lake. They grew louder, flashing red and blue through the cabin windows. Lawson's last shred of confidence evaporated. His empire of threats was collapsing. Karen curled into herself, hands covering her face. "I didn't mean for it to go this far. I just wanted to keep my board position." "I didn't know." Deputies rushed onto the porch, weapons ready but controlled. The Attorney General lifted a hand. "He's inside. Fraud. Extortion. Criminal conspiracy. Take him." Lawson made one final, desperate attempt, pointing at me. "This is all his fault. He's the trespasser. He provoked us. Arrest him instead." A deputy stepped forward, tone steady. "Sir, this man is standing inside his own legally registered property, with 3 generations of documented ownership. You, however," he snapped the cuffs around Lawson's wrists with a sharp metallic click, "are finished." Lawson fought against them, veins bulging, shouting, "I own this county. I own everyone in it." But his shrieks were drowned out as deputies dragged him across the porch, his pricey shoes scraping against the boards. His men didn't resist. They stepped aside with their hands up, muttering that they were done with him. Karen looked at me, tears streaking her face. "They're going to come after me too, aren't they?" I met her eyes briefly. "You made your choice the moment you walked in here with that fake notice. Maybe now you'll understand. You never had the right to control this land." The Attorney General rested a firm hand on my shoulder. "Justice might move slowly," he said, steady and sure, "but when it arrives, it hits its mark." As they loaded Lawson into the squad car, his muffled shouts echoed through the night. I stepped out onto the porch. The cool lake breeze washed over me, bringing a peace I hadn't felt in weeks. And in that moment, I realized this battle had never been just about me or my cabin. It was about something bigger, the right to stand your ground, protect what's yours, and show people like Lawson and Karen that no one stands above the law. "I didn't serve this country," I murmured, mostly to myself, "just to be told I can't live on my own land." The Attorney General nodded slowly. "And tonight, the entire state heard you loud and clear." She burst through my cabin door and barked, "This entire property is under HOA control now." I didn't even flinch. She had no clue who was sitting across from me at that table. Karen's cheeks were blazing, waving a wrinkled sheet that tried to look official, though the ink was already smeared from her sweaty grip. "Start packing," she snapped. "Your little getaway ends today. We've decided this cabin isn't suitable for you anymore. It'll be reassigned for community use." I still didn't move. Didn't even lift my eyes from the coffee in front of me. But the man across from me raised an eyebrow, adjusting his glasses. Karen hadn't noticed him yet, too busy barking commands like she owned the forest. "You think you can just sit there?" she screeched, slamming the fake notice onto the table. "HOA policy says no overnight stays without clearance, and don't even try calling anyone. The rules all back me." That's when he finally spoke. His voice was low, deliberate, the kind that shuts a room down without needing volume. "On your side," he repeated slowly. Karen spun around, finally seeing him, and for a split second her bravado cracked. "And who are you supposed to be? Another rule breaker?" I couldn't help the smile tugging at my mouth. She had just insulted the one person in the state she should have tiptoed around. "I'd watch that tone," I said, leaning back. You just tried to evict me in front of the state attorney general." Her jaw dropped. For the first time since she stormed in, Karen went silent. And that moment alone was worth the trouble this confrontation was going to bring. But the quiet didn't last. Her expression twisted into an awkward grin, the kind people force on when they suddenly realize they're in danger but still think they can talk their way out. "Oh, the Attorney General? Really? Well, I was only here to, check the property's welfare. HOA procedures. We're very concerned about the community." Her nervous laugh bounced around the cabin like a bad echo. The Attorney General leaned forward, tapping his fingers on the table. 1, 2, 3 times. He didn't look impressed. "So you entered private property," he said slowly, "without consent, carrying a forged document." Her smile froze. "Forged? Excuse me, this is legitimate." She shoved the paper at him, but the uneven edges and cheap, home-printed letterhead made it embarrassing from even across the room. I folded my arms and finally stood. "You stuck one of those on my door last week too. Remember? The one claiming I owed a fine for using an unapproved mailbox?" The Attorney General took the sheet from her and examined it carefully. Then he let out a dry, dangerous laugh. "This seal," he said, pointing, "was retired in 2008. In other words, not just fake, illegal." Karen's voice trembled. "You don't get it. I was told to do this. I'm just following what the HOA board demanded. They said to get him out. I didn't make this up." The Attorney General narrowed his eyes, but I caught something else, a shift. Orders. Someone else was behind her. And suddenly, it was obvious this wasn't just Karen playing dictator. Something bigger and uglier was at work. Karen backed up, clutching the bogus notice like it might protect her. Her arrogance slipped as her voice quivered. "I swear I didn't plan this. The HOA president said if I didn't take care of it, I'd lose my board position. He told me to force him out however necessary." She jabbed a finger at me like I was the criminal. The Attorney General folded the paper neatly, his voice sharper now. "So your board instructed you to trespass, impersonate authority, and intimidate a homeowner? That's not HOA business. That's fraud, coercion, and potentially conspiracy." Her face drained of color. "Conspiracy? No, you don't understand. He's influential. He has people in the county office. He swore no one would question anything. He told me people like him," she glared at me, "don't deserve lakefront property." The Attorney General glanced at me, then back at her. "People like him? You should clarify that." But Karen froze, biting her lip. She'd said more than she meant to. I stepped forward, my voice steady and cold. "This isn't about the cabin, is it? It's about pushing certain families out of the area. People who don't fit their polished little image." Her silence answered everything. She looked trapped, flicking her eyes between me and the man she had unknowingly antagonized. The Attorney General leaned back again, calm but iron-voiced. "If your president believes he's above the law, he's about to learn how wrong he is." Karen's hands shook. For the first time, her anger wasn't the loudest thing in the room, her fear was. And deep down, I knew we had only uncovered the top layer of something far darker. The cabin door creaked again. But this time, it wasn't Karen storming in. Heavy, deliberate steps thudded across the porch before a deep, authoritative voice called out, "Karen, why is this taking so long?" She jolted like a kid caught sneaking cookies. Her eyes snapped toward the doorway just as a tall man in an immaculate suit entered, casually brushing mountain dust off his polished shoes. His presence filled the cabin instantly, like he assumed everything inside already belonged to him. The Attorney General didn't move, but I felt the shift in his posture. The man's gaze slid to me first, then to Karen, and finally locked onto the Attorney General. For the briefest moment, his smug grin slipped, but he fixed it quickly, straightening his tie. "Well, this is certainly unexpected." Karen leapt forward to justify herself, words stumbling over each other. "Mr. Lawson, sir, I was managing it exactly like you said, but he's got the Attorney General here and that's enough." Lawson's voice sliced straight through her excuse. He stepped in deeper, each click of his polished shoes echoing off the wooden floor. You were supposed to keep this quiet, Karen. Instead, you've turned it into a spectacle. The Attorney General finally spoke, slow and controlled. Mr. Lawson, I assume? President of the HOA. Lawson's smirk returned, colder, sharper. Titles mean nothing out here. What matters is that this cabin sits on land the board intends to bring under regulation. And you, he pointed at me without even glancing, are in the way. Heat rose in my chest, but I kept my voice steady. Interesting, I said. Because this land has been in my family for 3 generations. You don't regulate someone's heritage. For the first time, his perfect composure wavered. His jaw clenched. History is irrelevant. Only power matters. The Attorney General leaned in slightly, eyes locked on Lawson with predator-like focus. Then you're about to see what actual power looks like. The air in the room froze. Even Karen held her breath. This wasn't a petty dispute anymore. This was a battlefield. Lawson didn't break eye contact. He strode past Karen, dismissing her like an expendable chess piece.